Hi, this is Gia, and you're listening to Stories About You and Me, where we explore the messy journey of self management towards pursuing your goals.
And today we have a special guest. I think you know him from TikTok, yung mga nagbibigay ng advice about love life, moving on, kung di pa kayo nakaka-move on from your exes. Today we have Alec Cuenca. So hello Alec, how are you today?
Hi, Gianna. I'm doing very, very well. Thank you so much for asking. And thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast. I'm sure we have a lot of things to talk about here, and I'm just so excited. So, again, thank you.
Yes, I'm excited as well kasi marami akong kukuning mga juicy details na missing from your content, kuya. So I'm kind of like a low-key, you know what's hard about being a content creator? Sometimes other content creators like go through your FYP, right? So
Mhm.
yung mga stories nila, makikita mo yan even before meeting them. So when you meet
Yeah.
them, you kind of know their story na. So when they're talking about something about themselves, like, yeah, but you can't say it na, oh, napanood ko na po yan sa content ko.
Yeah.
So I know, kuya, I know talaga. I know that there was a point in your life na during your college days yata yon, if I'm not mistaken, na parang napabarkada ka before.
Mhm.
What was your life like nung time na yon? Nung napabarkada ka?
Okay. So, my life before content creation, I was just a regular college student. That's basically it. Um, I was studying in one of the hardest engineering schools here in the Philippines. I was studying in
Mapua?
Mapua. Yeah, and I had a really hard time with my studies, just like any other regular Mapuan. So that was my struggle. But most of the time, I was just going through college, just how they wrote it down. Enjoy, meet some friends, play games. Minsan ganun ginagawa ko noon. Madalas, I spend my time playing video games. I was addicted to
Yeah.
video games, and then I really love basketball, so I played a lot of basketball when I was in college. And then, of course, also love going out, partying, and before nung face to face, there were a lot of that was
Yes.
the thing,
Same.
pagpunta mo ng Manila, you're from the province. And even if you're not from the province, as long as you get there, your first taste of independence, you go out there and you try different things. So what I did is I went out almost every week pagdating doon. And I didn't have any ounce of self-improvement inside my body. I was just a guy who was on autopilot doing things that I thought that I was supposed to be doing, and I was in a place that I didn't really, choose. I was kind of led into that moment in my life, but it was far from how I am right now with the content creation, with the love for self improvement, personal development, and all those things. So it was very, very different.
I think, kuya, same din. Nung college ako actually, parang mahilig din ako lumabas. Like parties. Kasi I'm from Taft. Hindi naman lagi. Pero pagka from time to time, pag after midterms, ganun, syempre, parang ang boring naman, puro araw lang yung gagawin mo, di ba?
Yeah.
So occasionally, you would go out to socialize. And yun kasi talaga yung culture ng Taft in a
Yeah.
way.
Hindi
So,
ko alam kung naabutan mo pa siya, pero there was this thing called the happy tea.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ano ka ba, kuya? Like, I think you're 2 years older than me or 1 year older lang yata. I'm
uh,
23.
okay. I'm 25. So
Okay.
medyo nagpang-abot pala tayo sa college life natin.
Yes.
Yeah, so meron tayong tinatawag na happy tea. So every Thursdays, people would go to Taft and they
Yes.
would just party and have fun and get drunk. So yeah, I
Yes.
experienced that too.
Masaya naman kasi parang to get to know people then around the campus. Hindi lang yung
Yeah.
secluded ka lang sa isang place. Ang hirap kasi na wala ka ring mamimit na people. So how did you start finding your why from there? Kasi parang siguro brought about then by immaturity, no? Nung college tayo, parang go with the flow lang talaga lahat ng tao eh.
Mhm.
Parang you don't really know what you want to do with your life and nothing's wrong with that. Like most people find their purpose late. Parang
Yeah.
kailangan mo talagang itry ng iba't ibang bagay. So how did you start to find your why?
Oh, I was I was always a daydreamer. I could say that. Na even though I was in Mapua and I was trying to pass all my subjects, I spent most of my time wondering, what's out there. I find myself most of the time I'm daydreaming. Alam mo yun, nanlutang, nasa iba yung iniisip. I was
Same.
ganun yung ginagawa ko before. And then I just knew that I really love to talk,
Mm-mm.
right? And in engineering, hindi siya nabibigyan ng chance for me to practice it. But I really love talking. I really love speaking. It started when I saw Mr. Francis Kong. It was the first time that I ever heard a speaker. We went to this event and he was there and he gave us a speech. And then after that, I said to myself, I planted the seed na I want to be like that. I want to be like that person. But I don't know what to do. Wala namang course or program to public speaking. So when I was studying in Mapua, sabi ko nga I was living in autopilot. Pero nagbago lahat yon nung naka-experience ako ng first ever heartbreak ko. So, uh, it was one of my rock bottoms. I was young, I was naive. But to give you a proper context, I fell in love at a very early age.
Ay!
13,
Okay.
13 years
Sorry.
old pa lang.
Sorry, kuya. Continue.
Yeah.
Pasensya na.
Hindi, okay lang. 13 years old pa lang, I already had a girlfriend.
Okay.
And we were together for 11 years. Tapos, after nun, we broke up.
Uh-uh.
And then, we broke up the first time, no 7 years kami. Tapos, I couldn't handle it. I didn't know how to. Hirap na hirap ako. Parang wala namang lesson para dun, wala namang nagturo sa atin paano mag-move on, paano mag-deal ng heartbreak. So, it was a hard time for me. But what happened after that is I couldn't focus with my studies, so I dropped out of school for 3 months. And then I didn't eat right. I didn't sleep right. I was depressed. The anxiety, I had panic attacks, all of those things. And it was just a hard time for me, to the point that I even planned on ending my life there. Like I said to myself na, okay, ano na yan, this is it. Like, you don't know how you're gonna move forward kung meron pang to look forward to kasi wala na. It was a hard time for me. Tapos nung nangyari yun, ang ginawa ko is I planned it out. I wrote messages and all that stuff, and I had a plan in my head on how I would do it. On my way there, I don't know, the colors were different. I gave it a day, and then the next day, sabi ko, if this was my last day today, then I should give life a chance. So what I did is I opened my eyes, like really appreciating my last day on earth. So it was different. It was vivid. It was colorful. And then sabi ko, okay, let's see if kung merong mga messages sa akin. I want to see. Kasi I already left like goodbye messages and all those stuff. So I opened it. A little bit dramatic. But yeah, that's what I did. It's real. It really happened.
Yeah.
So I opened my phone and there were tons of messages coming in. And then wala pang 1 minute, there was a ring and I answered it. I picked it up and it was my mother. And then all I heard was she said, "Nak, uwi ka na." Yun lang yung sinabi niya. And then when I heard that, I snapped out. I was like, what am I doing? This is wrong. So what I did is I went home. I did a reset button. And then I think that's when all of this really started. Kasi sabi ko sa sarili ko, hindi ko alam kung kailan ulit ako papaiyakin ng mundo. Hindi ko alam kung kailan ulit ako magkakaroon ng heartbreak. Hindi ko alam kung kailan ulit ako mahihirapan sa buhay. But I gotta make sure that I have the tools inside of me to deal with those stuff. So sabi ko, okay, instead of me playing video games, watching series, watching basketball, playing basketball, hanging out with outside, getting drunk, although I still went out a lot of those times, I spent most of my time at the library. I was reading a lot of personal development books like leadership, management, psychology, personal improvement, anything like that. I kept on reading sa library. To the point na naging kaibigan ko na rin halos lahat ng tao doon sa library. So, alam mo yun, what after that, I came across a book. It was a book by Gary Vaynerchuk,
Mm-mm.
yung Crushing It. It was the yellow one. And then that's the first time that I heard about a podcast. So sabi, podcast is like this. And then I realized na this is actually a chance for me to practice my public speaking dream. Like this is a platform where I could speak, I could talk. So I said, okay, I'm gonna try do my research. I'm gonna do that, and I tried it. And then when I tried it, mind you, I already tried vlogging, all of those things. It didn't really work out for me. But when I tried podcast, it was so easy, um, and I loved it. It's very raw. It's very genuine. It's like this one.
Mm-mm.
Para lang tayo nagkukwentuhan. So it was really, really good. And that's when I started the whole podcasting. And I think it solidified that that was the moment that I start learning my why. Kasi after my first month creating the podcast, you know, I only had like 50 listeners, 50 unique listeners on my podcast on my first month.
Mm-mm.
And I was still super proud. I was still super grateful. But after the first month, there was this one person who messaged me, and I can't remember his name, but he said word per word, "Hi, Alec. You don't know me. I don't know you, but you saved me tonight."
Mm.
And when I read that message, I said, I want to hear that and see that for the rest of my life. That's something that I would like to do forever. And so I never stopped. After that, as long as I feel like meron akong isang natutulungang tao, dire-diretso lang. I kept on creating podcasts, and it has been my why ever since. A why that someone out there might probably be saved or be helped because of the content that I create. So yeah, I guess from that point on, the rest is history.
Siguro kuya, yung people, they think that content creators have an easy time. Pero pag yung nakita nila yung amount of bashing na natatanggap mo, di ba? Pero those people who really message you na ate, you know, kuya, kapag ka nakakatanggap ako ng mga messages na, oh, I had like a this high grade in impromptu speeches because of your content, parang it gives meaning to it. Kasi
Yeah.
minsan kapag when you're behind the screen, you don't really know the impact of your content. It's just
Yep.
when people are messaging you and you see it clearly na, oh, okay, yung pagpapabash ko pala, meron naman palang pinapatunguhan. Pagkatapos ng mga masasakit na salita, may pinapatunguhan naman pala. Tsaka kuya, parehas pala tayo na ng favorite na public speaker sa Pilipinas. Pero feeling ko famous talaga si Francis Kong kasi
Yeah.
super galing niya talaga and inspiring, guys, if you haven't listened to Francis Kong. So, how did you know that you were in the right path or mali yung path na pinapursue mo? Kasi 'di ba parang yun yung tricky part. You don't
Mhm.
know if magkakaroon ng results yung mga ginagawa mo. Was there like a specific time na you've set for yourself, if in this like timeline hindi mag-workout, I'll quit?
No, I didn't set a timeline for that. All I knew that I really loved creating podcasts. I didn't look at the results. I didn't look at if the numbers were growing. Mind you, I recorded like podcasts for the next 6 to 7 months from May to November, and I had zero increase in terms of followers. Like meron pero iilan-ilan. And I had like the number of 50, 60, 70 all throughout. And then November happened. I joined TikTok. One of my videos got viral, and then it all blew up coming from that point on. So I just knew that I was on the right track when I didn't even think twice about what I was supposed to do because of two things. Number one, I love seeing myself get better at it. I don't say I'm good at it, but I love to see me growing and seeing me having progress, and with whatever I'm doing.
Exactly.
That's the first one. The second one is I really enjoy it. Like it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like I'm trying. I just enjoy clicking that record button, editing. The excitement every time you finish recording a podcast, editing it, and then uploading it out there, and hearing feedback as well, like that whole process, I'm in love with that. So regardless of whether this episode works well or has high numbers. I don't care because I really love the process. And I think that's one way people can diagnose themselves if they are on the right track, if
Mm-hmm.
they enjoy what they're doing, if they love what they're doing. Kasi for some people, they would argue na hindi ako, I'm not doing the thing that I'm not doing the thing that I love. Well, okay, but the catch is later down the road, you'll be unhappy.
Yeah.
You might be able to get by during, these first weeks and first months, but sooner or later down the road, if you're putting yourself in a situation or in a place where you're not happy, then eventually, magsasawa ka dyan, mapapagod ka dyan, mababurnout ka dyan. And so when you know what you can be good at, and at the same time, what you know that you love doing it, then the results are just bonuses. As long as you love what you're doing, that's what's important. And that's what I found in myself that verified that I was on the right track.
Siguro din kuya, yung mga tao kasi parang gusto nila din ng results when they start something.
Yeah.
Parang I think that's something that separated you apart from other people kasi you were courageous enough to start it kasi there wasn't any expectations from it. Kasi the thing is, some people when they ask me questions on TikTok then ang nare-receive ko, sinasabi nila sa akin na how do I start if I'm not good? But the thing is, you don't really need to be good at something before you start it. Kahit sobrang rusty mo. When I was starting my podcast, I really don't know what to do. I was like, you know Almira, right? Almira?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking to her like, Almira, paano ba gumawa ng podcast? Anong binili mo? Saan ka nag-upload ng content? Because she has her own podcast too. So I was like, anong ginawa mo? And then she's like, oh, this is actually the mic that she uses as well. Like, ginaya ko lang yung mic niya, ginaya ko lang yung website kung saan siya nag-upload. Like, I don't know any idea how to create a podcast. So when you want something talaga, you'll start doing it. Kahit hindi mo pa sure yung ginagawa mo. So, was there a point where you feel left out? Parang ang bilis ng progress ng ibang tao, tapos ikaw, nandun ka lang. And what did you do about it?
Oh. Well, first of all, I want to say that Almira is actually a student from my podcast academy. So I taught her how to create her own podcast.
Okay.
And I'm so happy that she's sharing it with other people. Now we have a lot more podcasts here, and that's really great. And but yeah, with regard to your question about feeling left out, I think it started or I experienced that back in college when I enjoyed math when I was in high school, but when I got to college, it was different. Like people were better at me. Itong mga to galing sa mga science high schools ng Manila, talagang batak pagdating sa math. So they had a really great first term, and I was rewarded with my grades on my first term with 2 failing grades. I failed basic algebra and basic trigonometry, the most fundamental subjects in Mapua. I failed them. And so when I looked around, I saw people, they were okay. They were passing. And so that was the time that I felt like I'm being left out. Okay. So what I did on purpose is I distanced myself from everyone. Like after that moment, I can tell you, I didn't have much friends in Mapua. I had a hard time finding a circle, finding a group of friends that I could vibe with. It's almost always after 3 months, iba ulit kaibigan. Pero hanggang 3 months lang yung friendship. So I really had the hard time connecting with people, being friendly with people. Kasi nga, I felt kind of left out and I kind of pulled myself from having those kinds of connections and friendships as well. The thing was when I started my podcast and I started my TikTok and I met a lot of new people, more content creators, more speakers. It was so much easy for me to connect with them. And so I realized and I put myself out there so that I wouldn't feel left out. Because when people expect na if they want a friend, if they want a group of friends, good, support system, they're just gonna wait and hope that these people come into their lives. Pero what happens in reality is the only time that you'll have more friends is if you go out there and you join groups
Meet
and you try
people.
to make friends, right? Dun lang talaga magsa-start yung matanggal yung feeling mo na you're left out when you're actually putting yourself out there in groups so that you don't feel left out. So that's what I did. I exposed myself to a lot of people, and then I realized na okay, madali lang pala na you could be a part of a community, you can be a part of a circle or a group of friends, a support system or whatever. You can be a part of that as long as you put yourself out there.
Actually, kuya, yan din yung that's what I did before. I think dun ko rin na-meet si Ate Ayin. That's where I meet Almira too. From Toastmasters. Sabi niya nga, binubudol ka daw pumunta sa Toastmasters. So, invite na din kita, bubudol na din kita, kuya. So, through Toastmasters, ang dami ko ring na-meet na tao. So, kapag may questions ako, I can just ask Ate Ayin, I can just ask Almira. So, it was easier to tap to people kasi whatever your interests are, I think it would be easier if you expose yourself out there.
Yeah,
Parang
definitely.
kung gusto mo matuto ng public speaking, then look for a place na or like-minded people or expose yourself na mag-start ka ng content creation. You can also train public speaking there. You don't really have to be good at it agad. So, kuya, going back to the question of your long-term relationship. Ayan, bumalik tayo dun sa juicy details. Kasi 'di ba, it was for around 11 years. Oh, okay, just for context, I actually have a friend, 5 years naman sila. Tapos we were in a round table, hindi round table 'yan. Pero we're in a table, we're eating. Tapos yung friend kong isang marupok, parang pinagsasabihan niya yung isa ko pang friend na marupok, like tropa kami na marupok. Sabi niya, alam mo, para maka-move on ka, kailangan mong tanggapin. Kasi yung problema yung naging experience niya daw that time, she had a long-term boyfriend, 5 years, and then nakikita niya yung future niya with that guy. And then when they broke up, feeling mo katapusan na lahat. Kasi nung time na yun, ang gusto niya lang daw ay maging misis nung guy na yun. So imagine kung paano nag-crush yung mundo sa harap niya. And people think it's just like another long-term relationship. It's just something that's replaceable. You can replace people. But when you're going through that experience, kung matagal na kayong magkasama, it's different eh. Parang yung buong mga pangarap mo nag-crush right in front of you. So, how did you handle that type of heartbreak? 11 years kasi. Yun nga 5 years pa lang eh.
I think I was able to handle it when I told myself that I have to redefine everything. I love that you mentioned kanina na, na ang plano niya is to be the missus. So maging misis ng isang
Yes.
tao. And I think that's not a bad thing. If you're into a long-term relationship, of course, that's where your mind is going to go. But again, the reason why it hurts so much is because once reality hits that our expectations would not be manifesting into our lives, in fact, it would be the opposite. Yun yung mas mahirap tanggapin. Yun yung mas masakit na part sa isang breakup. So parang, it doesn't matter like if you lose a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but mas mahirap bitawan yung future plans, yung alam mo yon, yung mga plano para sa kinabukasan, yung mga naisip, na imagine, yun mas mahirap bitawan eh. Kasi ang dami mo pang na-imagine na pwede yung gawin, na gagawin nyo, tapos yun yung mawawala. So it is a very hard thing to process. But for me, I think I was able to process it by accepting that I have to redefine everything. Like the Alec that I know before the breakup is not the Alec that I will be after the breakup. So I just need to redefine everything from who I am right now and who I want to be in the future. So as in lahat ng plano ko, I had to break it down into ako na lang, pang sa akin na lang, wala na siya. So matagal na process ng talagang paulit-ulit na pinapaalala sa sarili ko na wala na yung ganong klase, pero adjust tayo, baka ito na yung pwede mangyari, ganyan. And you just need to open yourself to more possibilities kasi. Kasi pag nasa-stuck ka sa akala mo, kaya katulad ko na nisip na katapusan na ng mundo kasi nga, we thought na that was the only thing that we can have. But here's the thing, when one door closes, 100 more opens.
Yeah.
So So that's what happens in a breakup. Like there's gonna be 100 more doors, but it's up to you whether you're gonna walk up to those doors and try to open it. So nasa say yun. And that's what I did. Sabi ko, okay, we gotta accept it. But I just can't accept it. I need to create new scenarios in my head, new things that I want to happen, new plans that I want to see. And so I planned everything. I replanned everything for my life. I redefined all my life. And yeah, I've been trying to live that narrative ever since.
Kasi minsan you need to separate your identity then from people eh. Even yung
Yeah.
long-time friends mo din, yung mahirap kapag nag-drift apart kayo and nag-outgrow din kayo, parang ang hirap hanapin ng sarili mo ulit. Kasi yung lahat ng bagay na nasanay ka, you need to redefine it from scratch. So
Yep.
it's like, it all boils down to you don't know yourself enough
Yeah.
yet. So kuya, how do you start getting to know yourself when you feel really lost? How do you go back to your core? Kasi kung matatanggal lahat, you're starting from a blank slate. How did you start from there? Or how did you find yourself again? Yes, Miss Universe, go kuya.
Thank you for that wonderful question. No, but seriously, for me, how I found myself again is really through kindness.
Mm-mm.
It's really giving myself that the kindness that I needed. Because the truth is, time is your greatest friend. Time is your greatest friend. And for people who are lost and confused and have a lot of questions, always remember that time is your best friend. Because most of the answers will only come at the right time. So if you don't know the answer now, then try again tomorrow. That's all you need to do.
I love
Focus
that.
on focus on today, whatever your tasks are, whatever you need to do, whatever small thing you can do for yourself, and try your best. If it does not give you enough answers, then try again tomorrow. Because sooner or later, darating yung point na you'll get the answer. But do not try to hate yourself or be mad at yourself or be pissed at yourself for not knowing the answers, because the whole thing of moving on and healing, that's a process, and medyo mahabang process siya. So you really need to understand that your time is your best friend, and you just need to focus one day at a time.
Minsan kasi it's all about surviving lang din eh.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to have it all figured out one step at a time. Like what Kuya Alec mentioned, it's just really one at a time. And then minsan answers give themselves to you. Parang
Yeah.
magpe-present siya ng universe in a context where you have never expected it. So it comes to you when you least expect it. So Kuya, what advice can you give to people who are young? Or what is that one thing that you wish you knew when you were younger? And this one is for people who are adulting ha. Yung mga
Okay.
coming of age pa lang. Kasi 'di ba parang
Right.
ano sila, brash talaga sila kung ano yung maisip nila, impulsive, ganon. So what's that one thing that you've learned na sana natutunan mo ng mas maaga?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of things that I would like to say to my 18-year-old. So first of all, gusto ko sabihin sa kanya na you're exactly where you need to be. You don't need to rush. You don't need to panic. You don't need to stress yourself out. If you are having a hard time, then that's where you need to be. If you're experiencing a heartbreak, then that's where you need to be. But you need to give it time. You need to trust the process, trust God, and trust the universe for how it will play out. Second, I would like to tell him that no one really gives a shit about you as much as you give
Yes.
a shit about yourself. Like people will come to praise you and criticize you, but it doesn't matter because they don't know you. And what's important is that you accept yourself for who you are. So if you like yourself, F everything else.
Yeah.
Like, stop giving a shit about everything else. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, Kuya. Last question na to. What's that one thing you realized when you entered adulting stage naman? Ito na yung pinaka-finale question. Yung parang nag-mark talaga sa'yo na, okay, ito pala yung life lesson na kailangan. Parang anong yung sinampal na life lesson sa'yo ng universe?
I think I would have to say that you need help in adulting.
Yes.
You need help. Okay?
Yes.
Because no one's ever figured it out completely. So it's better to try to figure things out with people who are also trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
And so you just need to find these people, or attract these people into your life, so that when you have questions, they could give you another perspective. But it's important to know na be okay with asking for help, even though you think you know everything that you need to know. Kakalabas mo ng college, you're all excited, you're all motivated. Ask for help. Those who ask for help in adulting are those who get advanced.
Yeah.
You get advanced in a much faster pace. And I'm not saying that it's a race, but I'm saying if you want to shorten that learning curve,
Yes.
ask for help.
Yes. And I would also like to add something to that, Kuya. Kasi yun nga yung ginawa ko for the podcast, for content creation, whenever I have questions, and even for my business. Or nagtanong din ako kay Cleo, like owner of Hiraya Filipina and
Yeah.
Hiraya Studios. Nagtanong ako kay Ate Ayin, tanong ako kay Almira. So, don't be shy to ask people questions. Kasi feeling mo sometimes it's a big deal, but when you reach out to people, feel mo naman yung vibe eh. Right, Kuya? Parang if they need space, just give them space. If they don't want to share anything, then don't force
Yeah.
them. But that type of help, it can be in the form of mentorship or professional help then. If you need some,
Yeah.
parang may
Siguro,
mga unresolved issues.
parang ako, feeling ko kasi the reason why people are not asking for help is because they think people are bad.
Yes.
Here's something that I bring deeply into my heart every single day. Generally, people are good.
Yeah.
Generally, people are good, and people are going to help. So the reason why we're not asking for help is because we think no one's going to help us. But the truth is, there are a lot of good people out there, and you just need to let them know that you need help. And
Yes.
the people that are really above you, they'll try to help you. I have
Yeah.
never met anyone in the content creator space that wants to be successful and wants to be happy and experience joy and peace, all the good things in life, na their abundance in their lives, they want to share it. I've
Yeah.
never met someone they try to compete with you or try to push you down. No, the people who try to do that, they are the ones who are actually
Below.
below you, and trying to keep you in that space. Na dito ka na lang, don't try to change, don't try to grow, dito ka na lang. But the people who are addicted to growth, to learning, to healing, to success, they want everyone to win as well. So yeah.
And maybe kung hindi ka nasa ganong environment, maybe you're in the wrong environment. Because
Yep.
you'll be surprised na feeling mo ang daming masamang ugali na tao. Pero just as much as those people, marami ring taong willing tumulong sa'yo. And you'll be surprised when you meet them. They're really selfless. I've
Yeah.
experienced it firsthand.
Yep.
So, ayun, Kuya. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to promote?
If you want to learn more about the things that I do, go ahead and check out my social media pages. Just search for Alec Cuenca. You can watch my daily videos on TikTok. You can follow me on Instagram for more of my personal content, and at the same time for my future announcements, because I will be having a lot of live events in the future. So I'll be having a heart healing sessions at PICC Pasay on May 21st. I'll be having a workshop with Joy Spring on June. It's not yet finalized, so make sure that you follow me on Instagram to get all the details about that. And there'll be a lot more events coming soon. So yeah, and also if you want to be a part of a community that is addicted to self-improvement, and you just really want to meet like-minded people, go ahead and check out my group coaching sessions called the Better Me Project. So we have a weekly session where we discuss different topics about personal development every Mondays, 8 p.m. If you want to join that, just message me on Instagram, or you can go to bit.ly/the Better Me Project. So yeah, and of course, listen to my podcast here on Spotify. It's called Small Talk, Small Conversations with Huge Impact. And yeah, thank you so much, Gianna, for having me here.
Thank
I'm
you,
so happy
Kuya.
to meet you finally.
Thank
And
you.
wishing you all the best for your podcast.
Thank you. So that sums up our episode. Again, this is Gia, and you're listening to Stories About You and Me. If you like this episode, please give me a 5-star rating, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!